Mark. I work at one of the Apple retail stores. This is going to be a review about the new MacBook Pro 13-inch. I just made a video, a very long one. The longest that YouTube allowed me, of course, about the 15th flagship Retina display. So now I'm going to guide you to 13. So you might kind of neutral, why do I have to buy 13? So it's going to be a huge story. Well, should I buy 13 or should I buy 15? So what would be the advantage about getting 13 or 15s or the MacBook Air? So let's get started. First of all, I'll give you a quick principle. Okay? If you want to buy these two, you have two models for 13-inch. I would strongly suggest this one. If you buy this one, you got 2.9, can be boosted up to 2.6, this one 3.1. It makes perfect sense. This one is faster. You got 8 gigs of RAM pre-equipped. 4 gigs of RAM is not enough for today. You got larger hard drive. Now, so that's it. I would suggest this one. Why? Because this one $1,199, this one $1,499. So it's $300 more. It's $300 more. So I would suggest this one because $300 is nothing. Why? Let's say I'm depressed, I have OCD, and I want to blow my brains away, and I need to consult with a psychiatrist. Believe it or not, that shrinks will charge me more than $300. You paid $300, you got faster processor, more RAMs, you double the RAMs, you got larger hard drive for $300. So if you want to buy the new MacBook Pro 13-inch 2012, I would suggest this one. I would suggest this one. So if we want to compare this one with the 15-inch, okay, fine. First of all, processor. We have dual core on this one, and we have quad cores on the 15-inch. Of course, both 13 and 15, we both have USB port, USB 3 port. Okay. So I have to ask you, how do you plan on using your computer for? Let me show you something. I have the Final Cut installed on my Mac. And I have my funny video about burning iPad here. Okay. And obviously you can see right here, right there is my core. I got 2 core. It's dual core. So I got my funny tip, and I want to share these clips. I want to export it. I want to export my project. I share it. Export movie. Next. Here you go, exporting. You can see my cores are working. Here, my cores are working. I got only 2 cores. So when we compare this to the 15-inch, you got 4 core times 2 due to hyper-threading technology. So therefore, when we want to use Final Cut, iMovie, or Adobe Premiere, when we render things, when we work on our projects, because these types of things like photos editing, video editing, AutoCAD, they require pretty fast processor. So if you do this kind of tasks, you can't buy 13-inch MacBook Pro, you can't buy MacBook Air, because they have very slow processor. The things that I hate the most is sometimes we are going backward. New MacBook Pro 13 2012 supports only 8 GB of RAM. Whereas the older model supports up to 16. I don't care about 1600 megahertz RAMs, DDR3. I'm worried about 8 or 16. More is always better. Secondly, the 13-inch MacBook Pro doesn't have a distinct graphic card from NVIDIA. It doesn't have the GT650M. So the reason I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. That's why I brought this up here. I'm using graphic intensive game. And you might say, Mark, this is not, of course, just for an example. So, just an example that if you want to do graphic intensive games, but not on iPad, you want to do graphic intensive games for your Mac. Here you go. Graphic, it's something like this. Something turn things around, rendering the graphic. You need graphic intensive game not on iPad, but on your Mac. Or you want to do like 3D animation movie. Graphic stuff. AutoCAD. Cinema 4D. Maya. Anything's on your Mac. I would suggest you should go for the 15 because the 13-inch only have something called integrated Intel 4000 HD graphics, slightly faster than the older one. Therefore, you can't do that. On 13, you gotta go for 15. So, if you want to decide to choose between 13-inch MacBook Pro or 15-inch MacBook Pro, whether Retina display or just regular display, now you got my answer. Is the difference between quad-core processor and dual-core processor. If you don't want to wait when you want to export your video or render graphics like After Effects, if you do movie editings, if you're a professional photographer, if you play high-end games, of course, you have to buy the 15-inch MacBook Pro. And as I said earlier, I would suggest the entry level of the Retina Display 1. But if none of those aforementioned tasks, probably you might want something cheaper, lighter, smaller. But of course, the 15-inch MacBook Pro with Retina display is bloody expensive, but it's even lighter than the 13-inch. So if you want to buy the 13-inch MacBook Pro 2012, I would suggest the higher end. With faster processor, 8 gigs RAM, larger hard drive, you need that one. Thanks for watching.